Jenks, 22nd. May I have a roll call, please?
Scott West, Craig Bowman,
Here.
Travis Nicholson, David Randolph,
Here.
Brown, Leon Davis,
Here.
Carol Mindy.
Here. Here a request to approve the minutes from October 8th, 2020.
So moved.
I'll second it. Craig Bowman.
Craig Bowman,
Yes.
David Randolph,
Yes.
Leon Davis,
Yes.
Carol Mindy.
Yes. Okay, first item on the agenda is ARC 2492, request by Loretta Kowsky for approval of a monument sign at 900 West Main Street. Marseille.
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Planning Commission. This is a request for a new sign. They brought it to us back in August, and the ARC asked them to revise it, which they did. They resubmitted. And you can see on page 6 of your packet, you can kind of see what the original sign was and the revised sign. Basically, ARC just asked them to simplify it a little bit and maybe select colors that match the building, because if you're aware of the area, that building is teal. And the red, yellow, and blue sign wasn't, they just had concerns. So they did all of that. They've been very good to work with. At this time, staff and ARC does recommend approval of the Lords and Ladies sign.
Any questions or comments?
I've got a few comments. Just first of all, we're really glad to have this business in the community. I mean, we need daycares, and I think they have a good reputation. And I also appreciate the work that's been going in to get it revised somewhat. One thing to clarify, that site design copyright 2020 all rights reserved, is that going to be on the sign or not?
No, that's just his, the guy who presented the application. When
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, because I was going to say, let's strike it if it would be.
I just lost everybody.
Okay. Are you connected now?
I'm back.
See you, Carol.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes. We can hear you.
Okay, I might have to move around because I can't, sometimes everybody's breaking up.
Okay. My second point is, and I'm not one to dip too much into artistic look or anything, but that Comic Sans font for Lords and Ladies just does not match the quality of the existing signs in the area. Personally, I feel like if they could just go back to what was the original font as presented. We have a really nice dental sign across the street, along with the Jenks schools. The Oklahoma Fit looks really good. Maybe this is just a matter of personal opinion, and you'll never agree on these, but my recommendation would be to change it not to be Comic Sans, to match the surrounding and just look more professional. But that's my opinion.
Okay.
Anyone else? Anyone want to make a motion? I'm not sure if you guys can hear me or
we can hear you.
Okay, or if my
I'll make a motion.
So make some noise, please. Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve ARC 20-492. The sign approval.
Can I move to amend the motion to add the change of font acceptable to Jenks staff?
I think you have to ask for a second first, and then
okay, sorry.
give us a second, and then you can amend it.
I'll second the approval of it.
Okay. I'll move to amend the motion to change the font to an acceptable font other than Comic Sans.
I have a question. Is that something that we can, is that something that's in our purview
It is. You can
for the
You can
font?
talk about fonts. You can't talk about content. Like you couldn't say, don't put your phone number on there, or don't put 9 year or 6 weeks to 4th grade. You couldn't have those comments, but if you have a preference for a font, you can have that conversation.
Okay.
So Leon, did you want to amend your motion?
Well,
Or are we okay the way we are, Marseille?
I'm kind of torn because there's been so much back and forth done on this already by the sign committee. And at this point in time, I mean, I don't have an opinion one way or the other in terms of the font, but I know there's been a lot of back and forth. It's already taken place in the notes, and I'm just concerned about delaying it or costing some additional money if they've already gone forward with the sign, expecting it to get approved as is. So that's the only concern I have, but I understand what the commissioner is talking about. I don't really care too much for Comic Sans at all on the sign, but I'm open either way. So if that's something you'd like to make an amendment on, I'm willing to go ahead and make that amendment to change the font.
And I'll just to respond to that, this is the first I've seen it, and I realize there's been work. I think it's pretty easy to change the font. Probably, I don't want to incur a lot of cost, and I feel like now's the time to do it before the sign gets up, and then we're stuck with it. So that's sort of the purpose of the Planning Commission, is to vet these things and get it set. But I don't disagree with you at all. But I guess I've made the motion, and if anyone wants to second it or not. Is that where we are?
Yes.
Okay. To amend your motion,
Okay.
Commissioner Davis. So, okay.
I mean, my only take is on this business has been around since 1973 in the community. And if that's what they want for a sign, I'm okay with what they want. I don't think the sign that's there is not going to be too much different than what this is. So I don't have a preference on if they have to change the font or not.
Sorry, can y'all hear that loud noise?
I can hear that.
Okay.
But I heard that.
Sorry about that, Craig. So you have a motion to amend the approval with a different font on Lords and Ladies, and there is a second. Is that correct?
Yes.
Do you want to call for a vote?
So there's a second to amend it?
Yes, I believe that Leon seconded it.
You seconded the font change, Leon?
Yes.
Greg Bowman,
No.
David Randolph,
Yes.
Leon Davis,
Yes.
Carol Mendel.
Yes. Okay,
So just
next
for the
item is.
record, I was for the sign, but I wasn't for them having to change the font.
Understood.
Right. Thank you.
ARC 2493, request by John Sanford for approval of a new building design, the general location of 402 East Aquarium Drive. Marseille?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. This is an architectural review. It is part of the specialty district. This came at the same time the Lords and Ladies sign originally came. We had it. It actually did not even make it to the ARC for a vote or a conversation originally, because we had a lot of internal dialogue. We went back to the architect. It actually was very similar to what you see tonight, but the materials were different. And As you know, the Ward 1 is Councilor Lynn, and she had some concerns about whether or not this actually met the standards and the design elements. She's not a voting member of the ARC, and when we did bring it back with the revisions, it was passed unanimously. Well, I say unanimously, but Heather with Anthem Road did not provide comments. So with that being said, this is a new pediatric office. It's on Aquarium Place. It is on a vacant lot. They kept the build line setbacks that would match the residential structures. They've got a beautiful lawn and some nice landscaping. If you look at page 14 of 41, I kind of superimposed that onto the lot for you to kind of get a little bit of an idea of what it would look like on Aquarium. So what you have is a building, and then on that hard corner there, it has 3 building blocks, and they actually have the ABCs etched into the glass of the windows. I thought it was a super cool building. I think everyone who has seen it thought it was super cool. So then it boils down to, is this an acceptable design for that area? I think based on the history of things that have been approved and based on the fact that they did go back and make sure that they used materials that met what was used at that time, I think it's a really nice product. I went ahead and showed in the staff report on page 15 and 16 the surrounding buildings. You can see directly catty corner, there was a brand new eye doctor's office, I believe. Very modern with traditional materials. Then they have some apartments, very not modern. Then we have across the street is a house, which is very common in this area of town where residential uses are transitioning to offices, etc. So if you look on page 17 is really the first look that you have. They did a good job of putting together a design board showing some of the building materials that they found in the downtown. So there is a little bit of early 1900s board and batten, along with some the stacked rock. So originally they had the large white block, which is not found in the city of Jenks, but it was actually a common material at the turn of the century. So that on page 17 is your first real close-up. Look on page 18. They worked with us. They still have some challenges with engineering, which doesn't have anything to do with this decision tonight. But as always, if you can't meet all the other criteria, you don't always get to do what you want to do or build your project. And I hope for their sake, if this gets approved tonight, that they're able to build it and they can work through all of that. On page 19, you kind of see a site plan. They put the parking in the rear, which I was very grateful for. They're building the sidewalk, and one of the problems is drainage in the downtown, so they're doing some low impact development on site to retain some of that water and capture some of that runoff. So page 20 and 21, you're looking at the same product. On page 22 to 22, they just kind of moved it around and showed you the different angles. So with that being said, it was recommended by the Appearance Review Committee to support this project and this design as submitted.
Great, thank you. Any questions or comments?
I really appreciate that the materials have been laid out, and I think they do match buildings in the area. That page that listed that did it quite well, and I don't think this is out of line what's in the area already. And as far as the design generally, I think it's a really neat looking building. It looks sharp and would be a nice addition to the area.
I will second everything Mr. Randolph said. I mean, look, they even put lots of landscaping. They handled the drainage. They did the trash can dumpster with enough parking. Looks amazing.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, it's a nice looking building.
Great. Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve, I'm sorry, we're on the wrong page.
I'll second it. Leon Davis.
Make a motion to approve ARC 20-493.
I second it. Leon Davis.
Thank you.
Craig Bowman,
Yes.
David Randolph,
Yes.
Leon Davis,
Yes.
Carol Newton.
Next item is ARC 20-495, request by Jacob Clark for approval of signs and designs for a gas station at 2840 West Main Street.
Thank you. Madam Chairman, can you confirm your vote on that? We were not able to hear you.
Oh, yes, I said yes.
I thought so, but we couldn't hear it. Okay, so.
I'll
this
start
one-
shaking my head.
Right. This is a sign by Casey's, so you're correct. We are, hopefully, this will go all the way through to the end, and you'll be able to purchase gasoline at this location. The ARC did look at it and approved it. You can see their comments on page 1, which is 23 of your packet. It's very traditional, nothing super special. Josh Driscoll from the chamber, who is on the appearance review committee, did ask that they add some type of masonry base around the sign and or do additional landscaping. I will say that on this one, I have asked that because the appearance review requires approval from you all and from the committee for signage and landscaping, the appearance review committee did say, and they were okay with, the landscaping can come back and staff can approve it internally. So I'm asking for approval of the sign with additional landscaping and consideration of a masonry base, and for approval, internal approval of the landscaping plan. And just so you know, we have asked already for additional landscaping. We did not feel it was adequate.
Okay. Is there a reason why they're not adding general store to their sign? Casey's General Store? I'm not real familiar with Casey's, so I personally didn't ask because I didn't notice they didn't add it. Oh, okay. There's one in South Jenks. That's why I asked. And General Store, I thought that was part of their thing, that they have their gas plus the general store. So I was
You are
surprised not to
correct.
see it
I
in
had
this.
forgotten it because there aren't very many from where I travel. Are they on the line? I do think we have a representative if you would like to speak with them.
Okay. Just a curious question.
I did have one question. There's sort of a more italicized version on, page 29. And then if you go a little later, sorry, my staple is over it, but it's more not italicized, but more kind of block font with it. I didn't know if those are like different sides of the building, or, which design we're approving exactly.
It will be the actual sign. From my understanding, what you see on page 27 is what they're asking for, and what the renderings are just to show you in general what the building will look like.
Okay.
So in this one, it should be as presented here, full masonry. So if you choose to approve your as presented, it's approving the sign with the recommendation of additional masonry at the base and additional landscaping, and allowing staff to internally review their landscaping for approval.
Anyone else have comments or questions? Uh-oh. I lost everybody again.
I can hear you.
Everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
We're gonna get a response to the question that Carol had about the sign saying country store.
Is the representative from Casey's online?
Yeah, if you can hear me, this is Nick Halfhill with
Hi,
Casey's. I apologize.
Great.
I'm going to stop watching the video because it's delayed. So,
Okay.
At any rate, the sign what you see before you is a new rebranding that's going out across our entire region. So the general store, well, it's a 50-year history since the late 60s of our. This is the first rebranding. It's actually rolled out about, I think, a week ago or so. So those that are familiar with it, they'll all be rebranded to look like this in the near future. Not running away from it. It still looks fairly similar, but it's just an update. So
Good.
any other questions? I'd be happy to stay on.
Thanks for that clarification, Nick. Anyone else have any questions? Okay.
I'll just make a
Not
comment
any other
that,
conversation. Thank you.
I was just going to say the new brand looks better in my opinion, and I'm glad we're getting the new one as this goes in. So,
Thank you.
Okay, do I hear a motion?
I'll move to approve ARC 20-495 with the staff recommendations, which Marseille, remind me exactly, you had masonry at the base and then landscaping. What was it exactly? Remind me.
Josh asked for either or a masonry base of some sort to match the building or additional, like extensive landscaping around the base.
Okay, so I'll approve with the condition of those conditions that masonry or landscaping around the base, so acceptable to staff. So
I'll second it.
Craig Bowman,
Yes.
David Randolph,
yes.
Leon Davis,
Yes.
Carol Mendon.
Yeah. Last item on the agenda is JL 2349, request by Jesse Powell for a lot split and a lot combination with a minor amendment for PUD 107 at 13973 South 21st Court East. Marseille?
Thank you, Madam Chairman and Planning Commissioners. This is a lot split, and I have added a minor amendment to the PUD in lieu of going to the Board of Adjustment for a variance. Essentially, Concept Builders had purchased a lot in Clearfield Estates, and they located the pins for the footing, and it looked fine until the second home on lot 12 was being built, and that's when they realized that the first lot, the pins were skewed. They immediately took action. They've been very easy to work with, very eager to get it remedied. And since it's still the same ownership, essentially there was no requirement for noticing the other people. So essentially, Concept Builders has now purchased both lots, and they'll build on the second lot, and then that way they know where they need to build it, etc. And you don't get the full 5-foot yard setback all the way to the end of the lot, but it definitely gives you room to walk. So basically, I'm going to read it because it gets a little bit wordy. So staff believes that the lot split and required minor amendment to the request meets the land use requirements and removes the hardship created when the build line was encroached during the building process, thereby causing the applicant to violate the required side yard standard. And I do want to say that before they can file this with the county, I want them to add that language to the actual deed exhibit so that it's recorded. And if they were to ever sell the home to someone else, it's noted that it was approved and it's acceptable. Also that they don't, they only did 3 feet in order to continue to meet the lot width, because you had to have a minimum 58-foot lot width. So they've done a good job getting this remedied. If you look at page 37, I kind of highlighted the 2 lots in question. If you look at page 39, it shows you that you have lot 12 on the north side and lot 13. You can see that the house is basically under construction. The footing has already been poured. You can kind of see the outline, and then you see how close it is to that build line. So they got into that 5-foot setback. So they're taking 2 feet from lot 12 and combining it with lot 13. But, and they'll still be able to meet all their other requirements.
Okay.
So, no one on the technical advisory committee had any comments. Staff has no comments, and we're happy to help them work through this so that they can get these homes built and get their lots sold. Or homes sold.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
Marseille, thanks for your work on this, and it does seem teed up well. Has the neighborhood association or anyone else in the area, I know there's no public notice for lot splits, or combinations, but has anyone else objected or weighed in on it or anything? Okay.
No.
And then the utilities, it looks like there's a utility easement in the back of the lot, so this doesn't affect that or anything.
That's correct. Everything else stays exactly the same.
And then I didn't follow 100% between the edge of the structure and the property line. There's still 3 foot. Is that right? Or
yes, that's
okay.
why he went ahead and purchased the other lot so that he would have full control and make sure that the new structure on lot 12 was consistent, so that anyone purchasing that lot would be able to get between the houses.
Okay, that's good. And then kind of my last question is, is there anything we can do to prevent this in the future? Because there's a lot of homes under construction and lots, and sometimes legal descriptions or pins are wrong, but you would hope that you'd not have this in the first place before you pour the foundation.
Yeah. This has been an ongoing debate my entire planning career, and it's something that's unfortunate. It's frustrating to staff. It's frustrating to the builder. It just happens. I think fortunately, I would say kudos to our own inspection staff, because they caught it. They realized that something does not look right. Of course, the footing was already poured, but when they started working on that second lot, they realized something wasn't right, and I appreciate that they caught it so early. But I do not have a solid answer. I don't think any municipality does. We've had this issues, and it comes kind of in waves. Sometimes you go for a long time without any, and then sometimes you get 3 or 4. I remember saying in Bixby, this doesn't happen very often, and literally we had 2 more back to back. So.
Okay. Well, thanks. And by the way, I know no public notice is required, but we're at the point of working on the UDO, and I don't want to go off topic, but on this specific point, I'd, in a perfect world, like notice to be given. So if anyone complains, objects, that they have their chance to do so and know about it. This seems like a minor issue, so I don't have a problem with it, but just I could see a neighbor springing out later and saying, well, all the houses aren't lined up exactly right, or something like that. Yeah. So.
And that is why, for me, the notice it's going to be part of that deed and part of that title work.
Okay, any other questions or? I hear a motion.
I'll move to approve JL 20-349 lot split minor amendment to PUD 107 with staff recommendations.
I'll second it, Greg Bowman.
Greg Bowman,
Yes.
David Randolph,
Yes.
Leon Davis,
Yes.
Carol Newman.
Okay, any other business for us, Marseille?
I'll make it as brief as I can. I know that you all have a very busy evening planned. We have the UDO, the initial draft of information, and so I'll be sending that out probably tonight in my planning update. But secondly, I would like to start a dialogue about waiving parking requirements on Main Street. And I have a couple of projects specifically in mind, but when I really looked for hours into the code, there is no waiver of parking on Main
I just
Street.
lost you.
For some reason, I can always hear you. Can you hear me, Carol?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
Something about parking on Main Street?
Okay, yes, so just, we're in the middle of updating the code, and we may be able to get Housel Levine to present something to us, but just know that I'm gonna be sending you some information and bringing some things to your attention, and maybe we'll do it on a case-by-case basis rather than rather than doing an entire code adjustment. But just keep that in the back of your mind, the potential to waive, if you abut Main Street, that you should be able to have a shared parking and not have a parking requirement. So just something to be thinking about.
Are you talking
Okay.
about just for the downtown area, or are you talking about the entire street of Main?
Probably not past Elm. Maybe not past the railroad tracks, but definitely not past Elm.
Good to watch for. Anything else for us?
I think that's it. I'll send you out an update and some additional information this evening. I'll be gone all next week, so I will not be answering the phone. I will be answering emails.
Have a good week. Okay. All in favor of adjourning?
Aye.
Raise your hands because I hear you. Did everyone say yes? Okay, good. All right. Thank you, everyone.